I had such a dream last night. I was floating above the trees, with my lips connected to those of a beautiful figure.
Whose lips? Were they my lips?
Tell me about falling in love with this story, about a love story, or how you came to like Keats and want to make a film about him and his life.
You know, you don't sort of plan these things, but I was reading a book about Keats's life, and partway through the story, the love story happened. Like, Keats met Fanny Brawne, and up until that point, Keats had been kind of, you know, like, I know he's supposed to be known as a romantic poet, but I think that epitaph came later. He was kind of not interested in romance. He saw it as a distraction, and that, on the whole, his friends that fell in love seemed ridiculous to him. But then his time came, and he and Fanny eventually fell so deeply in love. And I think I was very moved by the purity of their love affair, how young they were, and of course the tragedy, and how they responded to it, the courage.
And the landscape, everyone's talking about how beautifully this is shot. Can you just quickly say about the way that you envisioned it and how you brought it to life? I
think, you know, when we got around to like working out or talking about how we might shoot this film, we thought of doing it in a very classical style, which really means that the authorial kind of signature shots would not be present. We'd just sit back and would, you know, let them have the stage in a way.
He was a dreamer.
Have you got John Keats's poem book?
My sister has met the author, and she wants to read it for herself to see if he's an idiot or not.
She was a realist.
All I wear, I've sewn and designed myself.
Men's room, out. Poet's got to do a bit of writing.
My stitching has more merit and admirers than your two scribblings put together. And I can make money from it.
Hey, Ben. We were talking about Bright Star, and I'd love you to tell me about playing this very famous poet.
Well, yeah, it was a great privilege actually to play John Keats, and a great privilege to have the opportunity to spend so much time kind of immersing myself in his writing and in his life. I think he was not only an incredible poet, but an amazing human being. I think the thing about him that I kind of love best of all is that he was a man who was incredibly sensitive to people and to nature, and had a kind of openness to everything. He was so alive and felt things so intensely, but he was also kind of very earthy and practical and kind of strong, you know. He had a very tragic life, but he didn't give way to self-pity, and I find that combination a really beautiful one.
A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness.
Tell me about Bright Star and how you first heard about the story.
I first heard about the story probably about a year and a half before we made the film, so a few years ago. Read the script and just absolutely fell in love with it. You know, I was in tears at the end and just had such a overwhelming feeling of, you know, I have to do this. I have to play this character. Yeah, so I'm lucky, I guess.
Mr. Keats is very brilliant. Was it successful? You taught me to love. You never said only the rich.
I must warn you of the trap that you're walking into, John. You'll lose your freedom permanently. For what?
You are already the source of so much gossip.
Apparently there's nothing I can do to persuade you of the gravity of this situation. We must cut the threads.
No, I can't. I never will.
Tell me a little bit about your character, playing a character based on somebody, you know, a real life character. How does that change how you approach the role?
It didn't.
No?
Not really. I mean, there's so little written about Brown. It's not unlike how, you know, sort of how I approached Dick Little in Assassination of Jesse James. I mean, because this is not a, you know, like, because he's not extremely well known, like, I didn't want to go into it with too much sort of unhelpful reverence to affect this guy. I wanted to make sure that I was in there kind of able to listen and be flexible with what Jane wanted.